Tim Black.
So they're talking about moving out of the country. And they're talking about leaving, saying, we can't do this. We can't put up with this election was a farce. It's horrible, they say. So they're ready to leave, man. We got people like, Elizabeth Taylor? I don't know. Miley Cyrus wants to leave. Jon Stewart wants to leave the country, man. I talked about this on my day show, the Coffee with Tim Black show, sponsored by Tim Black Coffee, which you get by going to TimBlackTV.com. Back to the celebrities. The celebrities. It bothers me that we got rich, people that, first sign of trouble, they ready to bounce. And that's still right. You can leave the country if you want, fine. More parking spaces for the rest of us. Less people in the DMV. We like that. Go, less people driving, less people breathing in my oxygen. Recycling the oxygen around here. That's probably why I get so sick, because of so many people. So I got no problems with people wanting to leave the country. Just go ahead over there, Sparky. But it did, as I started to think about this further, I want you guys to listen to my take on this. It's really hypocritical for people like Jon Stewart. What's the other one? This is somebody else I'm leaving out. Barbra Streisand. Elizabeth Taylor died, didn't she? God, that was mean. Barbra Streisand, Miley Cyrus. These people who are talking about leaving the country, and there's a lot of people talking about doing it. It's funny that now this is the thing that did it for them. Like now they're ready to get out of here, but they weren't getting ready to get out of here before. Like they weren't bothered by the fracking. They weren't bothered by the fracking. They weren't bothered by Native American, indigenous people being hammered in their own land, on land we put them on in the corner of the earth. Like, look, you can have this little piece of the land we took from you. No, move over here. No, move over there. Every time they find some good stuff on the land, they go, well, move again, and they take whatever they want. But they weren't pissed off by that. Oh no, that didn't make them want to leave the country. Well, it's just a little, these people have problems, and but I love America. They weren't talking about leaving America when, they choked the life out of Eric Garner in a broad daylight for selling like one cigarette or something, right? That they don't even have proof he sold. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't enough for him. Black people are dying in the street. Saw a poor young man with a license to carry informed the police officer that he had a gun in the glove compartment, and they shot him right on Facebook. But that wasn't enough for them to think about leaving the country. I can keep going. We have mass shootings that occur ever so often. Sandy Hook comes to mind. Little kids in their classrooms or whatever. And I know some of you think it didn't happen. Screw you. I think it happened. But even if you don't think it happened, most of America thinks it happened. Okay? This is my point. Miley wasn't talking about leaving then. No. I heard these poor children were shot. But I like it by Mercedes. And I like LA. So, you got to work it out. I hope things work out for them. Here's the quarter. Go get the surviving child a lollipop. They weren't talking about moving then. Water in Flint. Horrible water. Poisoning babies. They weren't disgusted. Oh, this is shameful. I can't live in a country where we poison our most vulnerable citizens. For years. No one goes to jail, and 2 years after the story broke, water's still bad. Kids still using hand sanitizer. Kids bringing bottled water to daycare. Nope, no talks about leaving the country then. Nope. Well, bottled water's good for you. It's good for you. So, that's what they're doing over there. But, what am I going to do? Here's $1, sonny. Go buy lunch on me. See if we got a roll of pennies in there we can get the kids in Flint. But now they talk about leaving America now. Why? Because Trump got elected. Oh, no! Talk about your fake outrage. I'm just looking at the proportionality here. We drop bombs. We drone people all across the globe, particularly those in Middle East, right? Well, that's probably the only place we do drone. We kill 1 million Iraqis, right? 1 million of them. Guantanamo Bay still open. We got pictures of servicemen and women playing Twister on their genitals and laughing. And you see this come out and you go, but you're not appalled enough to talk about leaving. So screw you with your I'm ashamed BS. You ain't ashamed. You're looking for limelight. These celebrities are looking to get their faces in the paper. And I see these activists, so-called activists, well, I'm down here standing for this, and I'm going to stand on this thing, and I'm going to do this thing. And then you see a week later they got a movie coming out. Oh, look, did I just see this person at the Occupy event? Just in time for their book signing. Ah, see how that works? Publicity, free, PR person going, right now would be a good time for you to, get involved in some of these activities. It'd be like free promotion or, boost your career, revitalize it. Come on, I believe in you, kid. You can do this. And us poor working stiffs who gotta sit here and put up with who's ever in office. Us poor folks who can't flee the country to go to another country where they got the same types of problems. Like they're going to go to Canada or Switzerland and people aren't going to be like, aren't you from America? Ooh. I like the music and the movies, but you guys really are horrible. Look about 40 pounds overweight. Isn't that the going rate for Americans? Well, don't bring your racism here. We've got our own brand of racism. We don't need your brand. Your brand's too out in the open.
Tim Black. Tim Black. Tim Black. Yes, I am. True.